Alright, so when it comes to finding a persimmon tree to kill a deer, it kind of comes in 3 steps. Your first step is finding the tree. Your second step is seeing if the tree is producing fruit. And then your third step is seeing if there's any deer feeding sign underneath it. And if you check all 3 of those boxes, you better be climbing a tree close to it, because that's a good hot persimmon tree you need to be hunting. So when I'm slipping through the woods and I'm trying to identify persimmon trees, first thing I'm looking for is I'm looking at the bark. So most of the time I'm going to be near a waterway. It seems to me that almost every persimmon tree I found is either near a creek or a swamp. I'm in kind of north central Arkansas, right on the border of where the Ozarks meet the Delta. So I hunt a lot in the Delta and I hunt a lot in the Ozarks. But it holds true to both areas. All the persimmons that I found in the Ozarks have been near the streams, and in the Delta it's been near the swamps. So you're checking for bark. The bark has a very distinct look to it. Kind of looks like a checkerboard sometimes. It's almost got like a scaly look to it. And it's just one of those things that you've got to look for them yourself and let your own eyes see them several times. And once you do, it becomes very easily to pick out, and you almost can't miss one once you already know what they look like. Okay, so when you find that bark, okay, that's a persimmon tree. Sometimes you won't be sure. There's a lot of other trees out there that can resemble persimmons, but none of them are exactly the same. So one thing I do is I use this app on my phone. It's called Picture This. It's an app you can download. I think it's like 15 bucks a year. It's worth it to me. Basically what it does, you can take a picture of almost any tree or grass in America, and it'll, boom, tell you exactly what it is. And from what I've seen, it's pretty much dead on accurate. There's been a couple times it's been off, but for the most part, especially for identifying persimmon trees, it'll let you know if it's one. Okay, so now you found a persimmon tree. When you're hunting in white oaks and red oaks and you're looking for acorns pre-season, most of the time you need your binoculars so that you can look up there and look for them. Persimmons, no, you don't need that. You can do it with your bare eyes. So slip through there, find the tree. Okay, now I'm gonna look up. That one's got a lot of fruit in it. Now I've walked past several today that didn't have any fruit, and if that happens, just keep looking. Alright, so that's got a lot of fruit in it. Now I'm gonna go up underneath it, and if I'm either in deer season or if I'm right before deer season like I am right now, I'm gonna be looking for, is it dropping yet? And most of the time this early, they're not dropping yet. So that's just something you gotta either mark on your onX map or just put it in your memory bank and say, okay, I need to come back in here later in September, beginning of October, sometimes later than that, and see if it's dropping. Once that tree's dropping, you're looking for feeding sign. And when you get underneath a hot tree that's got active deer feeding in it, you will know when you walk under it. So there's a drip line on the tree. Just imagine if it was raining and the tree blocked every bit of the rain. Underneath that tree there'd be a dry spot. Well, that dry spot is your drip line. Inside that drip line, a lot of times it's gonna, on a white oak tree, it's gonna look like you took a garden tiller under there and just tilled the dirt up. The leaves are gonna be turned over. There's gonna be fresh and old deer sign if they've been on it for a while. When I say sign, I mean droppings. But you're looking for hoof prints, turned over leaves, and deer's droppings. Those are the 3 things I look for. With a persimmon tree, you're more so just looking for empty persimmons, persimmon seeds, or even coon poop. I found that a lot of times in the persimmons, you'll find fresh coon poop, and if you look in that coon poop and it's got persimmon seeds in it, you know that tree's hot. Okay, so if you see a tree and you look at the bark and you think it's a persimmon, but you're not exactly sure, next thing I do is I look up in the tree and I look at the leaves. The leaves are kind of long, very basic looking leaf. These have had some bugs get after them, so they don't look perfect, but it'll give you a good enough idea. And one of the dead giveaways on a persimmon is the leaves are going to be offset. So you got your stem and then your leaves, and they're always offset. And that's a big giveaway, because sometimes you'll find a tree that looks like a persimmon, but then you look at the leaves and they're coming off the same spot on the branch. That's how you know it's not. Okay, so you're looking for the offset leaves. This is what the fruit looks like. This is early September. They're not ripe yet, so they're green and they're hard. Later on into September, October, when they ripen up, they're going to turn orange and they're going to be soft to the touch where you can just squeeze them with hardly any effort. And when that happens, you know that the deer are probably going to be on them soon. Because if you eat one before it's ripe, it's very bitter. There's a hearty fruit. The juices in it actually taste pretty good. It's just got a kind of a bitter feel to it almost. It almost makes your tongue, feel like it's growing hair, is what the best way I can describe it. It's a very weird feeling. They're full of tannin, just like a red oak acorn. And so the deer are not going to really prefer these until they start turning sweet. These are the seeds. It's kind of an elongated seed. It's flat. I just dropped it, but that's what you're looking for inside the coon poop and the deer poop. That'll help you identify if the animals are getting after them at that given time. So anyways, that's a couple tips on how to find, identify persimmon tree, and know that it's a good one that you need to hunt. Well, there's my truck. I got two little guys trying to keep me from making it home tonight.